Coming up, I'm joined by a weird gnome. There's a strange incident. I hurt myself again.
Ouch. Hot.
I talk with myself.
Oh.
I use some unique DIY engineering skills.
Really highly engineered.
I play with my fingers.
In there that this thing ends up with.
And we do a thing.
Do a thing. All right, I realize there's lots going on here that's really highly engineered. Just ignore my scrap pieces of wood, piece of plate, lots of clamps going on. There's a method to the madness. Basically, all I was trying to do is see where that height really needs to be to make the shifter work. It just happens to be about flush with the top of this shifter. So what I did is I actually just built it up to a height where I could make the throws back and forth this way. So the throws are now being made. I can go from the center to both sides, and I'm landing just short of hitting the sidewall of the gate. So I think that's where I need to be. And now with that, front to back, I realized afterwards there's some adjustments in the throws of the shifter so that I can actually change what that needs to be. Now, the tricky part is going to be if I shorten these throws this way, I'm not going to make the shifts in the transmission, which means I got to, on the backside, take and lower down the tabs and the linkage that's used there to create the leverage to make the shift. In order to do that, will this have enough leverage to do that going through the cables? That longer part that I was telling you before down the bottom there might have been to help get the leverage they need to make that shift. So what I'm going to do now is basically play around with this. There's a couple things I realized is that this thing's hanging up. You can actually see it as I'm doing this and shifting it over. It wants to kick, and it's because this whatever gear that is, that would be reversed and fifth. It's kind of hung up going over there, and it's probably it's just helping me make the throw to fifth the way the linkage is. But the linkage, there's probably a little gate down in the bottom in there that this thing ends up with, and that gate is just shifted off, so it's coming in, making a contact and coming over, and that's what's kicking in, making this thing not really smooth when you're shifting through neutral. So I can adjust that. So with that, I think I'll stick with this shifter because finding a new one's been a real pain in the butt. Hurst doesn't support 5 speeds anymore because they're building different transmissions and they don't want to support this stuff anymore. So okay, fine, I'll make this work. So what we need to do now, I know what the height's going to be. I know I can adjust this. I need to replicate if I've only got this short of a throw in the gate, can I make the shifting work in the back? That's what I'm up to now. Oh. All right, I've been playing back here and I've determined that we're going to need some work. I came up with that this is going to be tight. But basically, between here, what we came up with is That's about 2.5 inches coming out the bottom if I have to move that shifter down as far as I had to. That's not good. I could maybe go an inch out the bottom, but not 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to do, here's that leg. You know, I pulled the shifter out. Here's that extension I was talking about. I think I'm going to move that up an inch. I know I can on the back. Reverse is way back there. But I could move that down a bit on that throw. I think it'll still make it. Instead of coming out the inch and the 2.5 inches at the bottom, I can get, say, roughly an inch out of this, moving that to there. And then this probably won't work. Maybe I'll have to go a little oversized, make one that's a little bigger, so I can make these throws a little longer. That should do the trick. The next thing to do in here is to start pulling the shifter linkage all out. I got it loose here, you'll see. There. I just cut it free. So now I can start pulling up all of these cables and try to get them up on top of the shifter linkage and get that down lower. Well, I took the mount out that held those cables in place. I just cut that out and now they're just free down the bottom. I wanted to get them down on the floor, make sure they would go there, and you know, I wouldn't have to get them untangled. I did have to a little bit. So this is cut out. I'll just hang on to it for now. But I'm gonna have to make a new one, obviously, once we lower everything down. So you can see I've got them all labeled just to make it easier for myself, but they're down here on the bottom, and everything else I've picked up and just brought it up to make sure it's gonna be able to travel. So we got a lot of stuff to get through here now. With the shifter being way lower, I think a lot of these are going to end up running through the top between where the pivot is for the shifter, and it's going back. All that stuff's going to run somewhere in there, some down below. We'll have to figure it out after. But I wanted to know at least I could get them up if I needed to. So they're up. We're clear. Now we cut out the bottom to get our inch down there. Making my way, using the body saw because the blade doesn't go reciprocated as much as a reciprocating saw. And I'm afraid of going up too high and catching some stuff up there. So just better safe than sorry. It's a little slower going with this, but I got lots of blades, so I'll just take my time. Where was I? Here somewhere. Do the thing. Well, we're going for it now, aren't we? All right, next up is I got to build the brackets for basically cables and something to hold the shifter in place or where we want it. And that's all up in there, and that's all help from Blake. So that'll be coming up next. See ya.